Well, Ashani, I've got a great story. I can't give away too many details because I'll get in a lot of trouble with the government. But when I was a young man working in drug enforcement on the streets of Melbourne, I remember I had many incidences, but quite often I'd be talking to low level drug dealers to get information out of them. And a lot of people have said to me, "So, Ed, did you beat people? Did you do this?" I'll say this, the best way of getting information out of people, or better way of persuading people, is by being nice to people. The moment you start trying to be sneaky or being aggressive or egotistical, people are going to clam up on you. So remember, be nice, be charming, be helpful, and that's going to be the best way you can get information out of people and the best way you can persuade people.
Well, certainly that's not my voice. But on 20th episode of My First Step Ever today, I thought of doing something different. And the voice that you heard is our guest speaker today. But before that, let's do the needful. I'm your host, Ishani Nigam. I'm a Masters of Marketing Communications student at the University of Melbourne, and I started this podcast to help you empower and inspire to take your first step. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. I am so thrilled to have this amazing personality on My First Step Ever podcast today on our 20th episode. Yes, my friends, we are reaching a milestone, and I'm so happy to complete 20 episodes with your support, your engagement, and your interest. And I'm happy that it has in some way helped some of you who have reached out to me and told me that how inspiring it has been, and that some of you are starting your own ventures, be it a YouTube channel or starting that internship that you really wanted. So I'm really excited. And in this episode of My First Step Ever, I have invited an international master coach who is on a journey to create master persuaders and influencers. Edward is a marketing mentor certified practicing marketer, and he's an international master coach and has mentored thousands of winners globally to help them get more clients and win top positions and become leading personal brands. But what is so interesting that beside his own company, which he runs as of now, Excellence Above Coaching, he started his working career in Australian Army as a combat engineer. And this really intrigued me because the career switch that you see, the career change that I see is amazing. And what led to this career change, or how was this journey, has really intrigued me. And that is why I was so willing to have Edward Zia on our show today. Now, he has worked in very tough situations, and he has gained a lot of life skill experiences, and he had many firsts in his life. Edward has directly worked with key organizations like Microsoft, Meetup, WeWork, LinkedIn, and many more. He is an amazing personality who is always up to inspire you, to help you, to cheer you up, and he's so positive. So, I think I've done a lot of talk today. Let me welcome our guest speaker, Edward Zia. Hi, Edward. Welcome on My First Step Ever.
Hey, Ashani, great being here, and hello to our wonderful viewers worldwide. Great to see you all.
So the first question, Edward, as I was mentioning about your career, it's a 360-degree turn. While you were an army person, when did you think of, transitioning that into a coach, an international coach?
Great question, Ashani, and I'm going to give the very condensed answer there. So originally, I joined the Australian Army when I was 19. I was a combat engineer in the Army, and very early on, I was very lucky to get seconded to do drug enforcement in the federal government. So I was originally in the Army, still in the Army, but I was actually seconded to work with the Australian Federal Police doing drug enforcement, and it threw my life in this whole new direction. So I was doing a lot of drug enforcement, information gathering. I was actually working the streets of Melbourne, much like you'd see someone in America in the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, that type of work. And it was really good. I was actually going to do that for my career, but got injured very badly in an operation that I was on. And it almost killed me, and it certainly ended my military policing career. So for me, life went in a very different direction. I ended up becoming a corporate for some years, And over time, after experiencing some homelessness as well, I ended up basically deciding to start my own business one day and becoming a absolute master coach. And it's been incredible.
Wow. Firstly, thank you so much for taking us through that journey really briefly. And I'm sorry to hear about certain things that you've gone through in your life.
It
But
happens.
I, yeah, I can see that you have overcome those challenges and you have definitely gained something out of that. If you're happy to, maybe shift a focus a bit on the lowest point in your life, if you would like to touch upon that and tell us that what were you going through and how did you overcome that thing mentally before you just stepped into the coaching world?
Yeah, well, I suppose what sort of broke the transition between, so I was in the military, then I was in corporate Australia, and then before I started my business, I actually spent a bit of time homeless. So I was a homeless veteran. A lot of my bad decisions, but also have PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder, which I picked up as a result of my injuries. A lot of that kicked in when I was about 29 and 30, and that mental illness combined with bad decision making led to me being what I always feared, to being a homeless veteran. And that was actually probably the low point of my life. But it was during that experience which gave me a big chance to reboot. And as I sort of worked my way out of homelessness and sort of got back into civilization, you would say, I decided to play things very differently. And I wanted to become a coach. I wanted to tell my story, wanted to help people globally. And pretty much just baby steps every day, baby steps every day, one step in front of the other. And from following that process, over a decade, I went from a homeless veteran to a successful international master coach. We also run a big business community as well. So that's in short my story. But it was that homelessness which was my trigger point, my base experience that really caused me to reboot and come back in a different way in life.
Wow. So it's a very, very intriguing story because I see that you have gone through different experiences in one lifetime over here.
Yeah,
And the one highlight that you're mentioning that what really turned things around for you was homelessness. Now, I
yeah,
hope no one really faces that. But right now, we're in a situation that most of us are like facing very, very difficult issues, basic issues in our life about earning, about living. So, across the globe, whoever is listening to us, especially the young aspiring leaders and students, I just wanted to ask you if they find themselves in some similar situation. For them, can you help them understand the top three things that you would want them to think at that point in time so they can overcome that situation?
yeah. Well, the first thing is, and just one quick point I want to make as well, just on the point of homelessness. A few months ago, I actually did a poll on LinkedIn that got hundreds of answers. And it asked the question, have you been homeless? And then it broke down that question to basically, have you been homeless and was it for a short time or an extended period of time? One out of five people, correction, one out of four people on LinkedIn answered, yes, I've been homeless before, right? And what was fascinating, I think it was about one out of six said I've been homeless for an extended period of time. So very scary. It was like 15% or something like that of people who've been homeless for an extended period of time. So, and this is LinkedIn. These are LinkedIn professionals saying that.
Yeah.
And it impacts a lot of women as well, especially. And on that note, the three things that I want to say to anyone listening is number one is you got to live with gratitude. So I'll use me as an example. Whilst I was a homeless guy, I wasn't disabled, I wasn't injured. I could still work. So that's something to be grateful about. Number two is being homeless in the Western world is way better than being homeless in the developing world. So, if you're going to become homeless, being homeless in the Western world is not a bad way to do it, right? So it's good to be homeless. For example, I've got a lot of friends in the Philippines. I'd much rather be homeless in Sydney than the Philippines. I'll tell you that, right? And I say it with respect and love to my friends in the Philippines. Crazy place. And the same thing I'll say to people as well is you got to think what got you homeless. Now, sure, we can have bad things that happen to us that get us homeless, but I bet you that's not the whole problem. I bet you there are other things that have happened that have also accelerated that process. So, what have you done that has contributed to being homeless? Because I hear all the time people saying, I'm homeless because I lost my job. And I'm like, okay, but how come you didn't have any money saved up? you got to take responsibility as well. So those are the three things I want to say to really help that. But hit that reset button and bounce back from the bottom and take little steps taking you forward in life.
Yeah, that's very interesting to know how you see the entire situation, and you're drawing comparisons between, what only because so that you can understand how grateful you are, or maybe in a better position right now, which is very interesting. And on my first step ever, we always try to uncover those areas of struggles that people face, and maybe help them with strategies that people have employed that have taken them out of that situation. So this is a very new area that we have discussed for the first time, homelessness, because whatever you learn, it's a mindset, and that mindset carries on even if you want to go into your career, or you want to start something in your personal life. So now moving on to the next question, now that we're discussing few firsts in your life, because you have done so many, I really want to understand, with all that wisdom that you had gathered so far before starting your venture, did you face any problem? And if yes, then how did you combat those issues?
Oh yeah, I face problems every day. So so I face
That's
problems all the
that
time.
that's relieving to know. I think everyone does.
Yeah, but they're all redeemable. And the trick is that when you're in business for yourself, you're going to face a lot of problems. But one of the core problems I'll speak to is, how do you break through and get started? That's the core thing, right? Because how do you break through? How do you get your first round of clients? And that's the real hard bit, actually. Because let's say you go, you're now saying you're a coach, you do a coaching accreditation, which I have, whatever you do. Then all of a sudden, like, you've now got no customers. You're trying to sell yourself as a coach. And the first obvious question people will ask you is, how many clients have you had? And the answer is zero. Okay. So, it's a whole chicken and the egg issue. And to me, the biggest thing about breaking through and getting started is going networking to networking events, meeting a lot of people, putting out really good content on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, connecting with many people as possible. Because as you put out heaps of content and you go to events and you meet people, by then you're going to meet enough people who are going to hire you and give you a shot, and they become your original base of testimonials. So that's one of the biggest challenges. And interestingly as well, the thing is, when you start out as a coach, you're not charging a lot. When you become a master coach, you start charging more. So people usually can pick you up at a bargain. So when I started out, people picked me up for a fraction of what I charge these days, and it was good. They gave me a shot and they got me for a fraction of what I would charge today. So yeah, that's really the hardest thing, is getting started, getting your first base of clients. And that's when most people fail, because most people don't have what it takes. Only a few people do, which is why very few coaches, everyone talks about becoming a coach, very few become successful full-time coaches, because it's a bit like going to the gym. Anyone knows how to go to the gym. It's logically easy, but very few actually do it because it requires effort. There you go. Yeah.
So, would you like to say this? For example, there are students, graduates at university right now, a lot of them, and they have a lot of ideas bubbling in their mind, whether they want to, work at a certain company or want to do something of their own. And if you think that, if it's only few people who got in them, so how would you advise the other people who really want to make it? But because I think everyone is able to do it if they realize that what it takes.
Yeah. I've got a very good influencer answer to that question, right? Because just so you know, we've got a lot of students in our community as well. So I work with a lot of students too. I'll give you an influencer answer, is just share really good content. Start doing videos on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Start creating content and putting content out there. Now, you might just share ideas. You might talk about what you're working on, even though you may not have a business per se. But by you sharing content, what you're going to do is get people noticing you, get people liking you, and you're going to get feedback, and it becomes a bit of a feedback loop. You might share an idea on LinkedIn and you get some information. That information helps you get closer to what you want to do, so you share more content. Therefore, that content gets you closer to what you want to do. Therefore, you share more content. So as you share ideas and build your own popularity, that often creates opportunities. So I would say start creating content, start sharing it. And these days it's so easy. Everyone's got a phone, everyone's got 4G. Some people have 5G these days. You can do it. And that's one of the here. Whenever I hear people making dumb excuses, a lot of them say to me, "Oh, but I don't have any money." And I'm like, it's free. You just use your phone, stick it on LinkedIn. And by the way, I just want to make this point clear. the entrepreneur life is not for everyone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a corporate. I mean, I was in the military and I was a corporate, so nothing wrong with that, by the way. In fact, for a lot of people, you'll make more money as a corporate or in the military. You'll be better off than being an entrepreneur. But I do say this, whether you're a corporate or an entrepreneur, makes no difference, because let's talk as a corporate, by you sharing videos and content, that can help you get a good corporate job. So it's not, I'm not presenting this as a corporate versus entrepreneur discussion. I'm just saying this, whether you want to get a job or create your own job, it's still a good strategy anyway.
And that's exactly where I was getting to.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you so much for emphasizing that, because we
yeah.
have listeners from all across the world, and I want them to understand that what we're trying to say at the very bottom is that strategy of going forward, whether you want to start something or go into a business. And I think Edward really very nicely summed it up and have given us a very, very simple way of going ahead when you're in university or school. If you really want to put your word out there and start your personal branding, as he suggested, and moving forward from here, I actually wanted to understand from you, because you have come in contact with such amazing, brilliant minds, leaders, coaches, yourself. Um, are there any top three, mistakes that people do early on in their life, or maybe even later, regarding their career, whatever it may be, that you
Yeah, yeah.
would like to address that over here, so our listeners would be can be aware of that as earlier as possible?
Yeah, and I think, and I'll explain the mistakes more in the modern terms, right? More in the modern terms. I think it's changed a little bit. Number one is not using LinkedIn enough. So if you want to get a really good job as a corporate, one of the first things they're going to do is check out your LinkedIn profile. Yes, they do. All the top accounting firms, they check out your LinkedIn profile. They look at you as social media. If you're saying weird stuff and not doing anything, it's a negative. So you want to start using LinkedIn, for example, and share really good content. So when they go to your LinkedIn profile, they're going to think you're a great employee. That's point one. The second point I want to say to wonderful people who to improve their careers is don't stay in the same job for too long. So if you're in a job and you're getting screwed, you've got a bad boss, there's no opportunities, move on. Don't just sit there and be angry. Find something better. And point three is you've got to back yourself all the way, because especially in the corporate machine, in a lot of you have good companies and bad companies. Good companies will nurture you. Bad companies will try and bash your self-esteem into a corner so they can control you, right? So if you wind up in a bad company, which has happened to me, happens to everyone, don't let the system and the establishment bash your self-confidence. Push back and make sure you win big.
Awesome, lovely. Thank you, Edward, for sharing such amazing tips. And I am really, really looking forward to even applying some of those, like, in my career as well. And I actually wanted to ask you one more question.
Yeah,
In the past
yeah.
one year, we all of us listening to us today, we have faced a lot of issues. But it is always good to learn from what has happened and move forward. So how do you reflect on any situation, and what are the parameters that you use?
In these situations, especially in the 2020 global pandemic, I think the first thing that you really got to look at is your situation. Is it positively impacting you? Is it negatively impacting you? And I don't want to use the word pivot, because that word's been overused a lot this year. It's become a horrible cliche, the word pivot. But I will say this, though, is that you need to work out how you're going to change your approach to adapt to the situation. And a lot of that, it can be different for different people. You might have been fired or furloughed during COVID-19. Well, it's time to get a new job. It might be time to start your business. You might be more like me, whereas you already had a successful business, but you need to transition from real world to online. I will say this, whatever you do, make sure you do it really quickly. And it probably involves a lot of online, because perhaps you got to leave where you're living. You got to go to somewhere brand new. You got to start again. So I'm going to say is you might have to make some very, very drastic moves to create the life that you want, especially the way that with what's happened in the world. Second point I want to say is make drastic changes and don't be afraid of anything. And number three, I'll say, is have great friends and people around you. So make sure you connect with other people. Don't do it by yourself. The worst thing you can do is try and change your life by yourself. It's great to connect and do it with your friends.
Right, the highlight over here is that if you find a situation is not right for you, the place, then you might have to take a very big but a calculative risk over here of how you want to see your life in the next few years. So definitely think over it and think hard that how you would like to go forward. And I think this is the best time to reflect on what happened this year. And because I think most of us have seen ourselves going through a tough time, and I think we have also understood somewhere that what are our strengths, because we have seen overcoming a lot of challenges this year, each one of us. So we have actually come to understand a lot about ourselves as a person. And if you can tap into those resources, the strengths that you have shown in your own way, keep in mind that you can utilize it next year going forward. So thank you so much for that. And just before you leave, I would really like to ask you to leave our listeners with a thought or a quote or saying that you have been living with, or you have really been inspired and you're following it.
Oh, beautiful. One of my favorite, and a lot of people have made this quote, so I reference everyone that's made it, not one person in particular, but take a little step every day, because that little step will add up.
So thank you so much, Edward, for coming on my first step ever and sharing your journey. And that sums up the 20th episode of My First Step Ever. Oh my god, this was so insightful, so interesting, and I'm so excited that I was able to get through a lot of information in this particular episode. If you have been listening to this or watching the videos on YouTube channel of this podcast, please comment, message, and let me know what you liked or what would you like to listen further. With this 20th episode, I'm planning to take a season break and come back. Let's see what I've got in store for you. If you like what you hear, then follow us on Spotify or Apple or Google Podcast. And you can also share this with people who you care, who you think would be benefited out of this for sure. And do not forget to join the Instagram community, which is My First Step Ever _IN, where I have planned of doing some interesting activities in coming weeks. And yes, as I always say, keep your spirits high, and as you're nearing the end of this year, reflect what you have done. Take a deep breath, pause, and think what you want to do ahead next year. And have a very, very, very Merry Christmas and a happy, happy New Year.